Ladies and gentlemen, this is the It Was Football channel, and it's the first historical channel on football YouTube. Here we talk about the events and people who have shaped our favorite game as it is. In the first episode, we will tell you about the crazy reason why football was invented and gained such popularity in societies around the world, and how the strict upbringing of boys led to the First World War. This is a brain explosion, ladies and gentlemen, and now we begin. As is commonly believed, football was born in England. Any empire cannot escape fears and phobias. Anything can be seen as a threat to the original order of things. Sometimes the search for such threats takes on the most bizarre forms. In the second half of the 19th century, the moralists of the British Empire went on a crusade against self-pollution and a terrible sin committed in secret. In the fight against this terrible evil, the English football character was forged and tempered. The fanatical desire of school principals to wean boys from masturbation shaped the views on football, not only of the generation that gave birth to the great game, but also of all those who later took to the field in England, either at school or in a football league match. Since then, stories about the man's game have been passed down from mouth to mouth, and every fierce tackle, every energetic dash, and every match played to the point of losing your breath is a hymn to the glory of the ardent fans of muscular Christianity, who have been preaching their ideas since the 1850s and have completely changed the public schools that had previously produced real freethinkers. In the middle of the century before last, the empire was in terrible danger everywhere. The empire needed warriors, not slobbering, indulging in debauched pleasures. Instead of solving the really important problem and fighting poverty, Prime Minister William Gladstone was running around London at night in search of prostitutes and lecturing them, urging them to give up their sin. Men, on the other hand, were to conquer the beast in themselves and contribute to the expansion of the empire in every way possible. The struggle against the beast had to begin in childhood. Many distinguished gentlemen took the lead and guided this struggle. Among these gentlemen, the Reverend Edward Tring should be especially mentioned. In 1853, Tring became the principal of a school in Uppingham. On the very first day, he surprised everyone by joining the students in a cricket game. This did not fit with the image of the headmaster. Over the course of 30 years, Tring turned Uppingham into one of the most popular schools in the country, precisely because he made sports a mandatory part of the curriculum. Sport was an important tool for Tring in his crusade. Well-organized team games shaped real men. The panicked fear of masturbation was so strong, writes historian Kathy Mullen, that solitude, privacy, and, by extension, individualism were banned. Team sports, especially football, were to be the antidote. And now it's intermission in our show, ladies and gentlemen. Dear ones, if this video has captured your attention and you want to see more from our team, please like this video. It is important for its promotion, and write any comment. It will also help. And we continue, ladies and gentlemen. Reverend Tring's younger brother began working in Uppingham in 1862. It was J.C. Tring who, in an attempt to organize the rules of the game, formulated the 10 principles of the simplest game. These attempts were picked up by other football fans, and a year later, the Football Association appeared with the first set of rules. The controversy over kicking, which is what caused the paths of football and rugby to diverge, demonstrates how quickly the ideas of Tring and others like him took hold of minds. Kicking is a manifestation of real manliness, the rugby players asserted. Football is already a tough enough game, Tring Sr. explained condescendingly, and there is nothing manly or fair about kicking your opponent in the legs. Manliness, in Victorian terms, a rigorous struggle to the point of exhaustion. Boys should be so exhausted by sports that they have no time or energy left for forbidden things. Tring was sure of this. Subsequently, any step away from such courage aroused suspicion, as well as manifestations of non-standard thinking, whether on the field or in the classroom. They were considered dangerous and harmful. At Wellington High School, a student who was fond of gardening decorated his room with rare flowers. The captain of the school's football team trampled them down, shouting that there's no place for these girly things. So much for strict football education in action. Similar militaristic education and the suppression of any freedom of thought and action flourished in Germany. France was also influenced by similar ideas. All this later bore its bitter fruit, the First World War. Football ceased to be the domain of graduates of public schools, but representatives of other classes learned about Tring's requirements, especially the manliness of the game, from brochures of various charitable societies. The White Cross League was particularly active. In 1884, the future Manchester City played in a black uniform with a white cross, donated by the vicar of St. Mark's Church. The active involvement of churches and religious leaders in spreading football ensured a double indoctrination of converts. Along with the rules of football, they received information about purity of thought and deed, and other qualities necessary for the empire to strengthen its power. The founding fathers of football, who were sensitive to morality and order, were always ready to set an example of ideal behavior. Arthur Kinnaird, the future longtime president of the Football Association, is remembered not only for his uncompromising approach on the field, but also for his funding of various social purity movements. One such movement was the National Vigilance Association, which in 1890 organized the destruction of 25,000 copies of Balzac's novels in Manchester. The association considered its main victory to be the 3-month imprisonment of the 70-year-old publisher Henry Vizetelly, who published in England Flaubert and Maupassant. This brings us to the fact that any football player who tried to play different from everyone else was looked upon with suspicion and disdain. In 1909, Arnold Bennett complained that the atmosphere of this island is capable of killing any artist. One of the first artists of football, Billy Meredith, was disqualified for the second time. It happened because he tried to create a football players' union. At that time, there was no doubt. English football was a game imbued with the spirit of war, played with heavy leather balls ankle-deep in mud. Scots could be brought in for tricks. No more deviations from the norm were allowed. That is why, for many years, bright and creative players either did not play for the England national team at all, or did so a certain small number of times. Even after the revolutions of the 1960s, English football changed little, primarily thanks to the victory of the gloomy machine of Alf Ramsey at the Home World Cup. The English national team paid for this with poor teams in the 1970s that did not qualify for the German and Argentine World Cups. Teams without Rodney Marsh, Charlie George, Alan Hudson, Stan Bowles, Frank Worthington. Teams that the Reverend Edward Tring would have been honored to lead. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to believe that you enjoyed this video and will support our endeavor by liking it. It was Football is the First Historical Football Channel on YouTube, and we invite each of you to join our community. We are interested in everything about football from the past, and we love modern football. Subscribe and stay with us, and share this video with your friends. We hope you found this video interesting. And now, we say goodbye. Ladies and gentlemen, goodbye, and may His Majesty Football keep you safe.